let's chat about some fun stuff today. So the other day, I did a show, and I was kind of talking about where I was like really wanted to get with my like all of my channel and stuff like that. And yeah, I'm really excited about. Is the hate panel not aligned? Oh, is it? Oh, it's like one pixel over, isn't it? Here, let me fix it here. The boop boop. Yeah, that better? Oh, but now it's too big, right? Yeah. Okay. There we go. There we go. Better. Appreciate you bringing it up. Okay. Yo, everybody. So we're gonna be doing a nice portfolio review of Dakota Holyman today, or Holy Man. How are y'all doing? How you all doing? If you want your portfolio reviewed, you can hit my bio, and in there I've got a little link where you can fill out a form, and basically just kind of taking it from the top to the bottom. So whoever comes in first, that's how I've been queuing it up. So yeah, volume's a bit low. Okay, let me turn it up. Let me turn up the volume. Let me turn up the volume. Shoom. Here we go. Too loud? Are we feeling pretty good? We feeling pretty good? Yeah, yeah. I will be doing your portfolio reviews presently. The yeah. Okay, there we go. Okay. Sorry, just getting all the little kinks out. I haven't gone live in a week, so got a little got a little jitters going. But last week I was in New York City, had an awesome time. I was actually flown out by DocuSign, so that was pretty dope to be able to see their big like conference and everything like that. So was able to get some like really good content and everything like that, but also too just to, like kind of take a break. Took an extra few days up there and just had an awesome time with my family. So I've got three kids, and one of them is a baby. So we left the baby with my mother-in-law, and the other two came along with us because they're a little bit louder. So um, yeah, but that's where I'm at. And so let's dig into the show today. So I'm going to try to do a few things today. So again, it was kind of like low on design news outside of a bunch of people ragging on Humane AI pin. Probably going to do some more looks on that tomorrow if you're not familiar with it. Basically, they the first AI pin came out and it's just garbage. So yeah. But we will be getting into all that. Do I prefer Apple or Pixel UX? I've actually been an Apple iOS user kind of all my life, so that's what's going on. And yeah, the Yazzer, sorry, asked over on Instagram, why are layoffs happening so fast? And I think really like layoffs in general in the world right now are like the global economy is tough right now, right? So that's one. Number two is everybody overhired during the pandemic, and so number three is all of those people are now leveraging, like, in order to keep their stock prices up, they're leveraging global mass hires and or mass firings, and then they're like, and in the next quarter they're hiring all the people back, and so a lot of people are saying it's kind of like resetting the salary lines, whatever. But in general, I think like these things happen, right? And it's not to say that tech is dead or that design is dead. What it is to say is that the global economy is tough, and that's where it's probably tough to get a job in a lot of markets right now. And so right now is a great time to be building your skills and starting getting your feet wet with applying and everything like that. Yeah, that's what I got. So I self-taught myself. Can I still get a job? Yeah, I think so. So I taught myself design. I didn't go to design school. I did go to school for creative advertising. However, I didn't learn anything that I actually use now. So I did do all that a while ago. But in my opinion, the best place to go is not to go for the corporate route, and instead go for startups, right? And I think that's where like a lot of the juices are, like for early stage designers as well. Is you're going to learn so much more because you're going to be able to be shipping stuff, right? I just posted over on TikTok a video about kind of the roadmap to building your skills and all of that in terms of like going from zero to ready to apply for jobs. And the truth is, a lot of people are not ready who are applying. And like, let me repeat that really quick. A lot of people who are applying are not ready. Now, I've been doing portfolio reviews every day for about, I think I've done like 5 or 6 now, and I would say only one, maybe two, were in a spot where I think that they could get a job with their portfolio. Now, the other ones were close, but no cigar, right? Like the truth is you got to be tight on so many areas. And especially junior portfolios, you don't stress about the UX. Don't stress about the UX beyond knowing the process, right? Hey, I know that we go by personas. I know that we go by this user research and market research and all that. And we go through those steps. And when you do that, like lay that out really quick, 1 or 2 sections, right? And then from there, dive into how you took like where the idea came from, and then how you ended up doing it, because most of your early stuff is going to be spec projects, right? Most of your earliest stuff is not going to have great UX research or UX strategy behind it, because you just can't build UX strategy skills until you go and do a bunch of UX strategy, see it launch, and look at all the failures that you've had and try to uncover those, right? But that comes from those war stories, and the truth is that you just can't fake it. You just can't fake it. And so that's, I think, what everybody's doing is they're saying, hey, it's really tough to build my visual design skills. It's really tough to find and refine my UI skills. So I'm going to show everybody that I know the UX design process, and show look, I know these steps by heart. So does everybody else, right? And so how are you going to stand out in a world where everybody else is showing the same shit, showing the same product personas, showing the same, UX research that you asked you and 3 of your other friends on what the challenges were that they had, and these are the features that you came up with, and then you went back to those 3 friends and tested it with them. Well, that shit's not going to get you a job. And what will get you a job, though, is if you grind on the UI side, if you grind on the visual design skills, because that will show potential, right? I can teach you UX strategy. And worst case, if you don't know UX strategy, I can manage that part of it myself and give you the rest of the work, right? That's what I did. That's what I did with my 2 designers that I've recently hired. And the truth is both of them had okay UI chops, but I saw in them that they had a process to their UI design skills and their visual design practice. And that was what got them the job. Right? That was what got them in there. And I think that that's the one thing that people are overlooking. People are coming in and saying, this is really hard. I've got to do a lot of, got to get a lot of design reps in to get to the spot where I'm ready to apply for jobs. So I'm just going to go learn, the UX design process and leverage that in my case studies. But that is like the thing that is keeping you from getting a job as an early stage designer. What's going to get you a job is to stand out, and you can't stand out with fake UX tactic projects. You can stand out though by saying, look at this fucking awesome looking app, or look at this fucking awesome looking website, right? And because when I see that in a portfolio, most people can't, right? Out of the over 600 portfolios I reviewed, 30 or less, less than 30, in my opinion, had visual, demonstrations of visual design skills, right? And of those 30, there was still some that didn't make the cut because they didn't have enough projects, or they didn't have the right type of work that I wanted, right? Or they were really focused on graphic design or something. And so these are the things that you got to go about doing in mapping out for your own career and your own self here. But all that to say, I think this is a great time to get into the actual show today, because what we're going to be talking about, and I wanted to really dive into this, is specifically talk about we're going to be ranking the design skills that it takes to get a job. Now, this is my opinion. I'm gonna let you all sound off if you disagree with me, okay? But let's scroll down, okay? So last week I did this ranking thing where I showed the best Figma features was what I did, and so today we're going to be doing a ranking around the skills that I think every junior needs, and then ranking them in priority of value that skill needs to be shown, and that skill will bring to the table for you as a junior designer working under me and my team, right? So all that to say, let's walk through them. Let me know if you disagree with any of them, and if I need to, change any of these or add any new ones. But I think that these are also based on the stuff that I've been seeing from the recent portfolio reviews that I've been doing too. So this is kind of educated from that. So, okay, let's take it from the top. So UX research, big one, big one. By the way, if you want to come hang in this file with me, you can go to this link right here, bit.ly/rad-live-hangs. You will join this file. You'll kind of come in and check it out with me. But yeah, so all right. Back to the steps that we're going to be ranking today. So UX research. So UX research, that's all encompassing, right? But primarily what we're talking about there is taking gleaming insights from like looking at stuff, right? So whether that's, hey, we looked at all the data of our current product and there's some issues here and here, here's some strategy that we can do to try to try to fix this, right? Like here's some solutions, right? So that's UX research in a nutshell. That could also be looking at like data or on the macro across like outside of your own product. But that's also kind of getting into market research a little bit. But I feel like this is a big one that is kind of getting missed, and I think will also help you get more jobs in startup worlds, is being able to show that you've got market research, right? Like chops. And what that means is when you say, like, this is a spec project that I did, last week. No, don't want to pick on this person. I forget the name, but last week I talked about, or I saw a case study where they were talking about, doing an app for creator economy, right? And me as a creator myself, I understand just how poorly they did on market research, because they said the most basic fluff stuff that doesn't actually like move the needle to say, wow, that's a great insight. Cool, let's go see the designs, right? All it was the shit that everybody else would think when they go make an app around creator economy. So with that in mind, you need to be able to think about go look at other products. First of all, find competitors, then look at their products to see what they're doing and what what they're doing wrong, and how this could translate into your product that you've got and that you're designing for, right? Market research, big one, big one. User testing, so that is creating a prototype and then running it through with users, right? Whether that is inside of Figma prototyping, but also to there's a whole field called growth design, where all you do is look at data in your own company, and then kind of like a startup, create a test that you can run on a certain segment of users, and then administer that, and then see how it goes, right? So creating those tests is also part of this too, right? But more importantly, probably for most junior designers, it will be running through a prototype with somebody else, right? That's kind of what that user testing is. User flow mapping. Now this one's kind of a little bit generic. This kind of is also tied up with user story writing and all that. But basically what we're doing in user flow mapping, where the value is for that, in my opinion, is talking about being able to say, this is a feature that we want designed. What are the beats that the user is going to have to take, and why should we go this route rather than go to this route, right? Like there's multiple screens here that we need to connect to. How do they all connect? Mapping all that out. That's user flow mapping. Information architecture, huge one. So this one is a big one, but essentially information architecture is hierarchy, but it's also site mapping, and could be tied to user flow mapping, but maybe more in the macro scale of how does and really what that is empathy mapping, desire mapping, and figuring out what user goals that every user has at every point in the journey, and being able to map that out strategically on the UI and the wireframing and all that stuff. So, okay. UI design. Now, this is generic, but all grouped together in general. But making nice looking design that feels good, and also pays homage to other parts of the app and apps that people might be familiar with. So that's UI design. Prototyping, making prototypes inside of Figma, obviously. Color theory. Being able to apply color, with accessibility and all that involved, but also to making nice palettes that can, stand out and help make good looking UI. Okay, another one, dev handoff, and then mood boarding. These are kind of process stuff, but that's those are definitely key features key skills that you need to build as a designer. So okay. Do we agree with this list? Do we agree with this list, everybody? So we're going to be ranking this. If anybody's just joining, what we're doing right now is we are taking this, these skills right here, and we're going to compare them against each other. We're going to say, okay, we got one slot for the A tier on the skill. We've got 2 slots for B, 3 slots for C, and 4 slots for D. Yo, Skoy AI, thanks so much for saying that's awesome. All right, all right, all right. Should AI be involved? You know, designing for AI is not really like a unique thing, or not. Sorry, it is unique, but being able to like design for AI is really a UX research and kind of like user flow mapping kind of thing, right? Like you can do a very bad job at designing for AI, and you need to be strategic on when and how to use AI in your product if you are designing a product that uses AI. So I would say that that's worth maybe talking about, but I wouldn't put that as like a unique tile on here. But if all of you are good with this, I'm gonna get going on this ranking system right here. So let's dig into it. Okay, so I think let's just start off from the top. I'm gonna go IA needs to be an A or a B tier. Mr. Nutella, what's up? How you doing? Haven't seen you forever, bro. What's going on? What's going on? All right. Yeah, IA is a big one. It needs to be A or B tier, 100%, 100%. I think that mood boarding should be B. Dev handoff should be a B, maybe an A. But essentially, like when we're going and like when our designs are finished, they've gotten buy-in and everything like that. There's still this point where you need to get the developer to go build it exactly how you envisioned it, right? And a big part of that is not just the notes, but it's the collaboration ongoing while they're working on the product or the feature that you're designing, right? And so dev handoff is one, but it's also one of the ones that are like very difficult for early designers to get into because, you know, how do you go? It's like a chicken and egg thing. How do you get experience working with developers? You have experience working on a product team or a web team, but you can't do that until you have experience working with dev. So I think like maybe because of that, that's got to be a C tier. Yeah, I think naturally that's got to be a C tier because we're ranking right now. We are ranking tactics and skills that early stage designers need for their first job. We're ranking those together. So information architecture is a huge one, huge, and I think I'm still pretty confident that it's up on the A tier. Now, what is mood boarding? That is visualizing your designs, right? So when we've got the UX research, and that's gone through market research, and then we've also mapped that out from a user flow perspective, we then need to say, okay, rough outline of like, I know what this is going to look like roughly, right? And so now I need to go visualize that so that I can get buy-in on that process that I want to go towards without actually going and wasting a bunch of time designing, right? So mood boarding is such a big part. It also is kind of like an unblocker where you're going to be able to say, hey, I'm stuck. Let me go find some inspiration. Wow, okay, this one's perfect. And so like that's a skill that you can build, being able to find those things and then leveraging that in a way that makes your UI design better, right? No one trusts dev handoff to a junior. that's a good point, Hugo. Okay, maybe because of that we bumped that to D. You're right. But I will say though, like it's come up in interviews for me quite a bit of like, when's the last time you've helped a developer and stuff like that. And so, I think that should definitely be in mind, right? Where you're like thinking about it as a designer of like what the dev limitations are and all of that. Like at least writing some of that stuff out, doing research around that would like potentially help a developer out. And you could say like, this is part of my process, you know what I mean? So, what's the best tool for mood boarding? Yeah, I pretty much just use Figma. What I do instead of Figma is I go to Pinterest I first write out the user flow map, right? And then from there, you're going to, have an idea of all the beats that the user is going to take. And from there, you say, okay, I know exactly what this is going to look like. And so does the client or the stakeholder, right? But anytime that the client or stakeholder is like saying one thing and you disagree, you think that it needs to be a different layout or experience altogether, you really need to find those spots. And so, you go into Pinterest or Site Inspire, Dribble, whatever, Behance, you find stuff that matches with what your vision is for the design, and then you put it together in a pitch deck inside of Figma. This is how I typically do it. So, okay. So we've got these rankings left. We've got UX research, market research. I'm going to move market research up to a B. I think that is one of those like unsung things that that gets left out, right? And us as designers, we're not sitting here making business decisions, but we are making design decisions that affect the business, right? And being able to I think what a lot of early stage designers are doing are they're trying to say, look, I'm a thinker, right? Look, I can be a creative problem solver, and when you give me problems, I'll be able to find great solutions, right? That's like what you're trying to do when you're showing your proto personas and you're showing your user research and testing and all that stuff, right? That's what you're trying to do. But that begins and ends with market research. That's where you're going to be able to have the best insights. When somebody says something to you like, hey, we should do this new feature, and you can say, no, this competitor already did that and it sucked. And I think that knowing this competitor, the way that they did that, I think we could actually do this in a different way. Here it is, right? And boom, like you just like flopped it on the table and said, this is like, this is so much better of a solution. Or, it helps you be able to have those moments where those stakeholders look at you as a, wow, I didn't never thought about that, right? Market research, boom. Okay. User testing, it's a good one. I'd say it's a D. I'd say it's a D tier. User testing is like, there is an art to it, right? But you probably as a junior will not run user tests if there's other designers in the team. If there's a product manager on the team, they will probably also run those tests as well. So I would say user testing is a nice one to have. Being able to say that you've done it and you got some insights from it. That's the value there, where you said, I learned that I messed up here and this is how I solved it, right? That's where user testing's nice. But in general, that's kind of where UX research comes into play, right? Like, so I would say like it's kind of like user testing leads to more UX research and strategy. And so I think UX research is definitely a C, at least above user testing. I would say, on that note though, maybe market research needs to be a C, because that's kind of the same deal, right? Like user testing leads to insights, market research leads to insights, which affects the UX research and strategy. And so I think because of that, it's kind of like UX research should be ranked above the other two. At the end of the day, like creative problem solving is definitely a thing, right? And being able to show that is definitely a value that you could do in your case studies. But know that it needs to come from these sources, right? Primarily market research, primarily, the product roadmap and strategy as a whole, right? I didn't even put product strategy on here, but that might even be more important than user testing. Actually, yeah, I would say it's more product strategy. And again, you're not going to be asked, hey, give me your product strategy here. But being able to like, there's this one thing that helped me as always to get a job. And that is being able to understand the cross section of design and the business, right? We are not artists, right? If you want to be an artist, maybe go try to be a graphic designer, or just go be an artist, right? But product design, UI, UX design is creative problem solving. It's not, creativity in general, unmasked, right? And so what we're doing here is we need to find that cross section and say, the business needs this. The users need this. How can we blend those together and come up with like a good solution, right? And so again, like kind of going back to market research leads to UX strategy and research. I think the same deal with product strategy, right? Like the undertone of understanding like the business goals and why we're doing the features the way we're doing them and how they all interconnect, that's going to lead to a UX strategy that works, right? And so I might even switch this UX research to UX strategy. That way it was kind of already all-encompassing. Now we've fully all-encompassed it. So there you go. Okay. Market research, product strategy, dev handoff, color theory, down here on the D tier. 100%, 100%. Colors are cool. But if you're working on a product team, you probably are never going to touch colors, right? Because there's already going to be a system of colors that it's in place for you, right? If you're working on a web design team, now that there's color involved there, right? But mostly what you're doing is creating the strategy based on like, the market and the product or web, the company as a whole, right? And so, yeah, okay, if we're trying to go a little bit more broad than this, maybe we go business strategy, business prod. There you go. Yeah. Does that make sense? Business and product strategy. There you go. Because that kind of is the cross section of the two. Okay. UI design, I think, is a C tier. Prototyping. Let's just start picking it. Prototyping is a D. Yeah, I think that's probably valid. That's probably it right there. Okay. So how are we doing, everybody? How we feel about this roundup that I just did? So for those of you who are just joining, these are all specifically, I'm trying to rank the skills that you need as a junior designer to get a junior designer job, right? Being able to have information architecture strategy. It all starts it's kind of funny because it's kind of bottom up right here, right? IA is the thing that leads to good UI design, but also having great business and product strategy, having a good skills around market research will lead to better business and product strategy, and then all of that will lead to a UX strategy that is educated by all of this stuff down here, which will lead to user flow maps and all of that. But ultimately, all that translates into IA, and I think that's the one thing that people are not jumping on. They're just jumping right to the UI design. But really the information architecture and being strategic around taking the strategy that we're trying to get accomplished, right? Like we need users to do this because of this, right? Users want to do this because of this, right? Knowing that context and like having a very crystal clear vision on that is what's going to lead you to be able to make better design decisions. And then also, and this is more important, is being able to argue for your design decisions, right? Because once you get people to agree on the strategy, once you get people to agree on the reason we're going about this strategy, and then you show them the designs, everything that you did, as long as you were strategic about it, right? As long as you didn't just say, "There's a strategy, I'm just gonna go fucking wing it," right? And that's this thing. That's what the IA is being able to connect those two dots together, and that is what's going to make it so that you can stand up and have a seat at the table, even as a junior designer, and make some good impact as well. So there you go. Boom. That is why we've got this ranking right here. So IA at the top. Mood boarding is the kind of the core foundation of taking the IA strategy and turning it into a visual design. So it's like, really quick. Let me just pull all these together into like a loop almost, right? Here we go. Let's come down here. Okay. Oh gosh. Doop, 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 doop. Oh geez. Okay, there you go. Gosh. All right. So, all right. Market research is over here. So at the core foundation, we've got business and product strategy, right? That needs to be confirmed by market research, right? That will ultimately come into a UX strategy and plan, right? That will spit out a user flow map that is kind of like confirmed by the team, right? And then that ultimately will lead to an information architecture strategy, which will then lead to a mood boarding like exercise that gets buy-in from the team, and then from there we'll go in and find. We'll finally go ahead and put UI design at the end, right? This is like, I think, the loop that should be accounted for as a designer, right? Because all of this leads to context, right? As when we're product designers, they're like, the reason why it's so difficult to get a job as a product designer, as a junior product designer, is every decision that you make affects the business bottom line, right? If you can't show me that you have the potential to be able to rise to the occasion and understand all of this context and pull it together into good UI, if I can't trust that, then it makes it where it's really difficult for me to be able to see you in this spot and give you stuff, right? Because in tech, right? In tech, the design is the business, right? Like because the product is the business, but the product doesn't exist without the designs, right? And so I'm not trying to like bloviate or say that design is like the most important part of the product, right? Like all of us here, let's say that it is because we're designers and we want to have like validation, right? But at the end of the day, there is a huge impact and therefore a huge liability if you can't show me that to pull all this context together and then be able to have a process to bring you into the UI. So Theme here, what's happening here? Anyone tell me? Yeah, what's up? Okay, so just a heads up, what I'm doing today is I'm doing a ranking of junior designs junior designer skills that are needed in the to get a junior designer job, in my opinion. This is the ranking that I just came up with. Feel free to say no or disagree with me. But basically, what I was just getting at the end was I kind of walked through how like all of this context builds on each other and turns into like ultimately good design that is actually usable, right? How does one elevate their skills from junior to senior? Really, the difference between a junior designer and a senior designer is their skills around cross-functional team collaboration. And that's my opinion. But there's never a point where you're like, oh wow, this person can design well enough to be a senior designer. No, what really is this person is effective in their role, right? That's what really a senior designer is, right? And so to be able to go from a junior to a senior, it's get in every conversation, understand everybody's goals all the time, and then be able to try to accomplish those goals for them through the work that you're doing, right? That's what will build your senior designer chops, and will also make your team be able to start seeing you as a senior designer more, give you more responsibility, and then you'll be able to go leave that team and go to some more other company or startup and find a senior designer role. I think that's the best bet for you there. Now, what is IA? What is information? IA is information architecture, and in my opinion, information architecture. I get people who says, no, that's not IA, right? But if you Google, what is information architecture, this is the perfect definition. It is all that it is the practice of organizing and presenting information so that it's easy to understand, right? Now, how do you have a organizing, presenting information strategy, right? Like, how do you, like, that doesn't make sense, right? And but let me try to walk you through how I see information architecture strategy, right? It is completely educated by all of these steps over here, right? It's educated by the business goals and the product strategy as a whole. It's educated by market research and your competitors on that startup or company, right? And then that ultimately goes into a UX strategy that everybody agrees on and says, yes, this is the path forward for our users. That ultimately spits out like the beats of the user flows and all that stuff that you need to do as like a designer, right, from the macro scale. And that's also too why these are both yellow. I kind of put them as that because this is where user flow mapping, site mapping, site architecture mapping, that kind of is getting into the information architecture world. Because going back to the idea of organizing and presenting information so that it's easy to understand, well, that goes beyond just the UI, right? That goes on to the whole experience, right? Because I'm here as a user, I have these reasons for being here, and I want to accomplish these goals, right? Understanding that will ultimately lead to you being able to say, hey, this is how we're going to give hierarchy to this, right? If most of our users want to accomplish this one task, make that the biggest fucking button on the thing, right? Make that the most priority and visualization that you can give it, right? But then having that much visualization on one thing affects everything else, right? It deprioritizes everything else, makes everything else secondary. So you need to understand, and you need to have a plan to say, this is why we're doing this, and does everybody agree? Yes, okay, cool. Well, I'm going to prioritize this then, right? And so that's all IA, which ultimately leads to mood boarding strategies and UI design. So these lives are recorded over on my YouTube channel. You can go over there. I've got you can watch live replays of all of my shows, and I'm going to be doing this every day though. So probably going to be talking about all this shit every day as well. But one last thing that I wanted to call out is I've got a course on information architecture, right? And basically, like it's a UI design course, right? But specifically, it's all around how to leverage information architecture strategically and turn it into good and functional and beautiful UI. So there we go. Yo, Ray Jones 007, thanks so much for giving me the follow over on TikTok. Appreciate you. If you're not following me already, would love it if you gave me a follow. I'm gonna be doing this all day, every day, yeah, I'm gonna be really turning up the heat now in terms of my content that I'm putting out. And yeah, hopefully you're getting some value out of this. Alex Smith, Mustafa, yeah, appreciate you all for following me as well. Yeah. Cool. Okay. Cool. Much love, everybody. Let's get it. Okay. So I just did a deep dive into design skills ranking to get a job. If you missed that, go check out my YouTube channel. I've got a replay of that over there. But also want to start getting into my next step, which is of the show, which is going to be a live Figma tutorial. Okay, sorry. That was a lot. And in that bio link, you're going to find this button right here. And then there's also a button down here as well. On mobile, it looks a little different. Here you go. Okay. Yeah. So there's a button here, and then also all the way over here, there's a button. But basically, both of those take you to this Airtable link, which basically just is a simple form. Input your portfolio, and you'll get a portfolio review. So today we're going to be going through Dakota Holyman's or Holy Man. Let's call it Holyman. That doing his portfolio today, but not yet. What we're going to do is a live auto layout tutorial. Now, auto layout. So last week I did a ranking of our favorite Figma features, and so kind of pulled together a whole bunch of ideas from everybody that was on the show, and this was what we spit out to, right? Where auto layout and multiplayer were the two key A rankings, right? Now I was trying to do like 1A, 2B, 3C, 4Ds. But we just had to add more. Because there's so many good features in Figma, right? And there were so many that didn't even make this cut, right? But either way, we've got this was where we came to, and basically auto layout was the number one thing. And over on TikTok, Ziggy, love you too, bro. Love you. What does multiplayer mean? Well, that basically means like people can be in this file with me designing at the same time, which by the way, you can come do right now. You can be in this file with me. Looks like there's a few people here already. But yeah, if you want to come join me, go join this, go hit this link. If you happen to be on a computer, come join this link and you'll be able to check it out with me because we're going to be doing a live design tutorial right now. And but yeah, essentially that's what multiplayer is that you can be in this file with me watching everything that I'm doing. And hey, there we go. Sam, what's up? There's a lot of features around it too. Like if you press the backslash button, you can actually comment back and forth to each other. So Sam could do that right now. There we go. Yeah, cool. So just features like that. That's a big one. There's a big one inside of Figma. So what time are my daily lives? Usually it's Monday through Friday around 1:30 p.m. Eastern time, like New York City time. Now I'm still kind of getting my bearings. I'm kind of switching up the time still a little bit, but that's my plan, is to stick to around 1:30 p.m. Which is about an hour ago for those of you who don't know the time zone switches if you're on a different time zone. Okay, we are going to do an auto layout tutorial. So let's buckle in, guys. I'm going to just pull up a few random photos just to get some good juice going on Splash. How we doing? Farzan, how you doing? I'm doing great. Yeah. How we doing over on Instagram, everybody? Everybody's kind of quiet today over on Insta. Maybe I'm just missing it, though. I tell you, Instagram chat is on lives is the worst designed feature of all of Instagram, to be honest with you, of all of Instagram Live. Let me just show you what I'm dealing with, right? I'm trying to read your comments, right? But look at this, every time somebody joins, it floods the chat. So I have to go search for it, right? Now, sorry if you guys just got a super weird mirroring effect. My computer just started blowing up, so there you go. All right, all right, all right. Yeah, if you want to if you want to come join the live, this is the Figma file that I'm right now in. Is bit.ly/rad-live-hangs. Okay, now come over and join me if y'all want. So let's dig into it. And by the way, I'm going to go ahead and spotlight myself so you can come find me in the file too. So okay, so let's dig into auto layout. Now auto layout is a huge one, and I'm going to I'm just going to kind of show you how I go about my auto layout. Now, this is the way that I design like everything, right? I don't design pixel by pixel. I don't design like this where I make a rectangle and then put some stuff over top of it and then group them together. That is not the way you should use Figma. And if you do use Figma like that, go check out my Figma course because I really dive deep into why and all that. But let's just assume that we're here, right? Because yes, HCI Cloud, I pretty much only use auto layout the entire time. Why? Because it makes your designs more scalable, it makes your designs more consistent, and it makes your designs developer friendly, right? Because if you can build it in a grid, then a developer can also build it in a grid, right? So that's like those are the big reasons why I use auto layout pretty much the whole time I'm designing. But so let's just grab these three and press Shift A. That's going to make it an auto layout. Now I'm gonna pull in the so you see it. Okay, cool. Here we go. So this just made this little module right here, right? And you could add a little additional padding or margins between them. If this was also a rectangle, right? Let's just call it a rectangle. Put it at like 8% opacity. Yo, over on TikTok. Thanks for giving me the follow. Much love to you. Much love to you. Much love to all of you for being here with me, whether you're a follower or not. I just have so much fun doing these lives. So yeah, hope you are having some fun, getting some value out of this. And even if you know auto layout, just like bear with me. Tell me if I'm doing anything wrong or if I missed anything. Okay, there you go. Okay, so these guys here, this is going to add horizontal padding on the whole like container, and then this is vertical padding, right? And so it's nice to do something like this. Especially when you have multiple things, right? So let's go ahead and just add like a title, right? Like your photos. What's the difference between margins and gap? Nothing really. I think it's really just how I say it specifically because I'm like, I think more in developer terms, right? They're going to talk about margins more than gap, kind of thing. So just a heads up on that. And so that's kind of like why I say that way. But yeah, okay. Let's put this into a phone, right? So I'm going to go ahead and press A. Over here, I'm going to find. I like to design to where is it? I like to design to 375 by 812. I don't know why. I just that's kind of how I've always I feel like that's like the most normalized iPhone frame size and also works pretty solidly for the other phones as well. So okay, so I'm gonna drop this in. Now we've got this guy here, and your photos looks really wonky, right? I'm just gonna go ahead and overdo this and make this whole thing an auto layout as well. So we now have some margins between. No, shoot, I gotta ungroup this. There we go. Okay, so now we've got margins between, and since this is fixed, it's no longer scaling this out, right? So if I was to press hug, it would scale it out automatically because this rectangle right here is set to automatically hug to the width of whatever the contents are inside, right? That's what hug means versus fixed, right? So we got it fixed, and so now as I add little tiny padding in here, this is going to automatically change the content without changing the sizing of the frame, which is the phone, right? So I'm just gonna like put this bad boy right here. Now we're looking like a phone. So I'm gonna make this a little bit bigger. Let's put it to 32. Now 32 is probably a little bit too much, but we're just making some banging UI right now. So now that I like scaled that out, I really don't need this padding anymore. So I'm gonna size that back down, put those back to 0. Probably remove the fill as well. So now it's just kind of floating. I'm gonna also press enter when I'm grabbing this frame right here. because when I press enter, it's going to automatically select all of the content to maybe 12. Yeah, let's go with 12. Let's go with 12. Feeling pretty good. Don't get annoyed if you decide though to change auto layout a bit later, but it destroys the layout. Yes, but see, here's the thing: if you're setting this up as you go to be future-proofed, it's not super annoying, right? Like now let me explain, right? Now let's say that we want to add a little icon right here, right? Well, how do we do that, right? So I'm just going to pull this in. I'm going to go ahead and pull up feather icons. We'll go with the search, right? Let's say I want to like search for all my photos, right? So I'm going to paste it in here. Well, okay, shoot. Well, now we don't have the ability to put it over here, right? So I could press this button here to make it absolutely positioned, and I could just go like this, right? But we just broke the grid, right? And so now we got to go here. We got to subtract it by 32 because that's the padding. None of this is ideal. None of this is ideal. So what we want to do is instead, and this is how we future-proof our work right here, and this is how also we get considerable gains down the line in terms of productivity in our workflow. Because what we're going to do is we're going to auto layout with an auto layout with an auto layout. We're going to make a gridception. Okay, so I just grabbed these two, and I'm going to press Shift A. I'm going to move this from a down angle to a horizontal angle, right? And so now look at that. We're already on the way. We're already on the way. I'm going to center this up a little bit. Maybe I'll just size this down to 16 pixels. Yeah, maybe bring the width of this to 2. Perfect. Okay, this is feeling pretty good. Now, how do we get it to where it scales all the way out here, right? Well, you can press Alt and double click. Now, what does that just do? What does that just do? What that does is it set it to fill, right? So before it was set to hub. Now that switched it to fill. So you could always do it over here. 488-023-8661 on TikTok. Thanks for giving me the follow. Much love to you. Much love to you. Yeah. Cheese. Yo, appreciate you hanging in here and learning Figma with me. If you want, I've got a Figma course on here that, or in my bio, that will allow you to get all of this juice and more. So can you record this and add this to your online course? Well, I have a better version of this in my opinion on my course. So there's better stuff in there, but also you can always watch any of these on replay over on my YouTube channel. So go give me a subscribe over there. Now, remember, we just made a thing fill, right? The cool thing is you can do that with everything, right? It's not just the wrappers that are getting that. We can get that juice out of the contents itself, right? So you see this is a frame right here, right? Now, if I scale this out, it's scaling it awkwardly. But let's say that it wasn't for some reason. Well, I can Alt and double click, and now it's scaled all the way, right? So that's cool, right? Now I can do that with text too. So I'm going to hold Alt and double click. And that looks great. Now this actually is probably how I'm going to do this, because this is going to allow us to, maybe down the line we want to expand this your photos to something else, or like add more details to it. Well, we can do that, and it's automatically going to wrap that text, which is huge, right? That wouldn't be accomplishable if we just went here and clicked over here and pressed X. Well, actually, kind of is, right? No, it doesn't. Yeah, okay, it doesn't. So wait, what? I just said that really fast. Now what that does is we can change this canvas, or where is it? Did they remove it from the settings? Look at that, they did. Well, shit, okay. So that's a big one. That's a big one. So you can do a space between, right? So you see here, we've got 15, 18, whatever. This will allow us to scale this all out, right? And then if I duplicate this, it will have that same exact spacing in between, right? But if you're going to constantly be like kind of scaling it out awkwardly like this, right? And so instead what you can do is you can click this grid anywhere on this grid right here, and you can press the X key, and that automatically does a space between the elements. So as I go here, I can duplicate, and it's automatically fitting the scale of the spacing all the way across, right? Like huge value right there. And there's definitely a lot of times that I want to do that in my designs. But for this reason, what I'm trying to show you here is I want to be able to future-proof my designs to be able to allow you to add more content later on. Maybe down the line, some like suit comes in and is like, we got to actually make this like this much words, right? And you're like, you know, but we can still make it kind of look good without completely redoing the whole structure by allowing us to do a fill, right? Because the fill is going to automatically wrap it. If that was set to auto, or space between, and this was on a hug, it wouldn't work, right? It wouldn't work. You see, it doesn't break. Now you could always go fill again, but then that's awkward here because there's what happens if right here there is a point at which, there you go. You see, that's not good. That's not good. So what we can do is we can remove the space between. We can set this to fill, and then we can automatically control how much gap there's going to be in here, right? We'll put it at 16, so that's perfect. Yo, Tan BB, thank you for sharing the live. Also that, thanks for following up. Having so much fun today. This is just some good juice that we're flowing today. What's up, Juan? What's up, Juan? Yo, David, what's going on? Yo, I was giving you mad props earlier. I was talking about how of all the portfolios that I reviewed, I think there's only one so far in these live reviews that it's ready to get a job from their portfolio, and I think it's yours, David. So much love to you. Keep up the good work and keep hustling. Yo, what's up, Ayla? Or LA from France. What's going on? Alex, what's going on? What's going on? How y'all doing? Big movement over on TikTok all of a sudden. So, what's the best website for freelance logo designers? Probably Upwork or Fiverr, I'd say. But I've talked at length a bit about why I think it's tough to find like consistent work over there, because you're gonna have to hustle just as hard as you would if you were hustling locally, right? And at least you can go get a local name for yourself, and start building that network. If you're gonna spend that energy, spend it like on Google Maps, finding like local businesses that need better logos, right? If that's the case, right? So, okay. So, anyways, we've got a good auto layout. We've now talked about fill nicely for us when we're doing this. Now here I've got a gap of it was 15. Let's make it 16. I'm gonna also move this up to like 40. Okay. All right. So we've got your photos. Now let's say that we want to add another section down here, right? Well, this is awkward, right? We've got like this section is very clearly defined, right? Your photos. Now, if this was like other people's photos, right, or your followers' photos or something, right? Maybe from your followers, right? Well, this is kind of getting a little bit of a challenge to understand what you're looking at as a user, right? Is this image from your followers? Is this connected to from your followers or not? I can't really tell. You know what I mean? And so because of that, what we need to do is we need to add another layer of auto layout, right? So we've got auto layout here. We've got an auto layout here, and the whole phone itself is an auto layout. Well, now what we're going to do is we're going to grab this section, press Shift A. We're going to grab these two and press Shift A as well. And so now what we can do is turn this 16 to 32 pixels. And just like that, it's much more clearly defined on what like is connected as a section. We can take this a step further and add a little like 1 pixel border, right? And that would automatically like get that extra gap down there too. So that's some nice juice for you if you're trying to get into auto layouts. So just keep auto layouting within auto layouting, right? Because then say we come in here and we like just scale these images down, like, right? It's going to make it where if we add another section down here for some reason, it fits just fine, right? Boom, 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 like, right? This is the juice of why auto layout is so awesome, right? And hey, XZ, yes, you can definitely send me your portfolio. You can get that from my bio link. There's a few buttons. There's a button here and a button here for you to be able to fill in your portfolio. Today, I'm going to be reviewing. I think it was Dakota. I'm reviewing Dakota's portfolio today. So. Yeah, shoot, YouTube's kind of going. Sorry for missing some stuff. How about brother? How to shape masking in Figma? Yeah, we could definitely talk about masking really quick. I would say it's not super needed to know about masking because and I go in depth on this. As the value of frames is such a big deal inside of Figma because you're able to automatically mask stuff, right? Like now, let's take this a step further and say that we want to put some content on top of this text or on top of this image, right? Well, right now, all it is just a straight up rectangle with an image fill. I'll show you that over here. Okay. So we've got a rectangle with an image fill, right? That's like just this image, right? So what we can do is I'm going to wrap it in a frame. So by holding Command or Control, Option, or Alt G, right? So it's now in a frame, and now I could go like this, and it's basically scaling to this frame. Well, if I clip it, then it's automatically masking, right? And then I could take this a step further by giving this some border radius, giving that a fill, turning this opacity down just a little bit, and then now we've got this nice little like rectangle inside of a rectangle kind of thing, right? And yo, Katrina, sorry, whatever it is, sorry. Thank you so much for giving me a follow. Appreciate you. If you're not following me already, I do this every day, Monday through Friday. So not every day, 5 days a week. There you go, 5 days a week. Okay, so we've got our frame, right? And so that is definitely needed to be able to add content in here, right? So I want to add let's just put username 123, right? I'm gonna put a little rectangle here. That is the user profile pic, maybe, right? Wait, no, this wouldn't be inside of your photos. Whatever. We don't need to worry about UX right now, okay? We don't need to worry about UX right now. Oh gosh. Yeah, here we go. So I'm just gonna move this right here. Perfect. Let's say that this has like 123 likes. Whatever. You get it. You get it. Turn the opacity down just a little bit. I don't know. I'm just winging this right now. This feels okay. Now, one thing that we need to worry about is being able to have it be legible, right? So over on this image, it might be a little bit more difficult to read because we've got this inside of a little bit of a gradient on this. So I'm going to gradient that. Well, actually, no. Let's keep this auto layout. Let's keep this auto layouting, okay? So this is currently an auto layout. I can scale this up and down. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pin this to the bottom left, and I'm going to make it fixed by dragging it out. So it's now fixed to like the width of this thing, right? Of this box. Additionally, I'm going to give it some padding both horizontally and vertically. And then I'm going to add a black gradient. All right. And I'm going to fade this out right here. Perfect. Okay. Then I'm going to press Shift Enter to go up the DOM. And we're going to clip it and give it some border radius. There we go. And just like that, it's a lot more legible, right? So we can take the step further by giving it specific top and bottom on the frames. And look at that. I can bring it all the way to the top, but that's kind of awkward, right? So maybe we just bring it just like halfway, roughly, right? And look at that. Now it's awesome. And maybe what we could do instead, though, is instead of that, maybe we do a fixed height, right? Like that way we can give it some really good juice to know that it's future-proofed, right? Maybe we want to add more lines here. Now it's not going to affect this as it was before, right? So beforehand, when I had it as just like 50 or whatever, it's going to automatically like scale this all the way till it's all the way at the top. That's not ideal, right? So what we want to do is keep it at 16. Actually, we're going to fix it and then make it. You can see it, right? Yeah. Okay. Looks like you guys got eyes on it. So you press fill. All right. Press fill. Put it at black or whatever, really, right? Maybe we want it to like green, red, right? It's this little button right here, this little gradient, and that makes it a gradient fill. And so now it's going to automatically come in with two colors. What I like to do is set these both to the same color, and then pick this one, right, because it's the top side, and then just slide this opacity down to 0, right? And so what I also like to do, because this is a little harsh, right? This is very black, right? Because it's 100% opacity black, right? So what I think we want to do even is take it a step further and go change this from 100% fill to maybe like a 90 or an 80, right? And then, so yeah. All right. There is your auto layout tutorial in a nutshell. Hope you all enjoyed that. Did you all get something out of it? How you doing TikTok? You feeling good? How you doing Instagram? You feeling good? How you doing YouTube? You feeling good? Yo, Katiso, I know you already said you're keeping your streams format for your live portrait, but please consider changing it to landscape for YouTube. Yeah, well, okay, so here's the thing. I'm already streaming from TikTok, and Streamlabs, right? And so I'm already doing 2 streams at once. Now I could do a third, right, and get OBS involved, and then do a stream to YouTube, a stream to Instagram, and a stream to TikTok. but I don't know if my computer can handle that. It is a pretty banging computer, so let me give that a try tomorrow. The real trouble is I'll be working off so many screen orientations. I don't know who's going to see what. That's my big concern. Is doing this at the same time. I've kind of got to stick it to like this center point on my desktop like window. So that's kind of why I just decided to go. We're going portrait everywhere. But maybe I could just do landscape everywhere. But yo, hey, too late. You came too late. Don't worry about it. You can just go to my YouTube side and over there I've been streaming this. You can watch all the replays of all my streams. So yeah. All right. I hope you all got some really great like value out of that tutorial. But right now, we're going to be turning up the value into a big old value bomb because we are going to dive into a portfolio review. All right. We're ready. We're going to be talking about Dakota Holloman's portfolio today, and yeah, these portfolio reviews have been so fun lately, and yeah, I'm really excited about this one because it is a big one today. By the way, if you want to get access to me doing this for you, you can definitely get that to happen. Sorry, I started talking in a weird way and it just like kept going worse and worse. But go to my bio link and fill out this form right here, and you'll get in the queue to be able to get your portfolio reviewed. I do one of these every weekday, so you'll always be able to catch up if you missed the one that I did for you. So today we are doing Dakotas. So hey, Dakota, are you in here? I hope you are. Because this is going to be some great vibes in here. I did a quick breeze through of the portfolio, and it feels pretty nice. I try to keep these like as raw as I can. So I just do a quick little bleh, bleh. Okay, yeah, it seems like they actually have something to look at. So that's what I did today, and it's feeling pretty good so far. So Dakota, let's dive into it. Hello world, I'm Dakota Holloman, people first UX designer. Okay, so first off, I want to say love the small amount of text here. I think that it can be very easy, like with a big ass blank screen, to just go hard and like overshare, right? I think that the little hello world is like it's a nice little like insider meme, almost not meme, but just like an inside joke that like also hones you in as maybe you've developed something before. So that's pretty dope all around. Definitely shows you're at least in tech. So cool. I like it. Zach Farmer, and thanks so much for giving me the follow over on TikTok. Much love to you. If you all can go over to my YouTube and subscribe, that'd be awesome. So just go do that for me as well. Love you. Bye. Can you ask what? What do you want to ask? Ask a question. Yeah, go for it. Abdel Razig. Yeah, did I butcher that? I'm so sorry. Neo, love you too, bro, or gal, or whatever you are. Okay. I'm Dakota Holloman, a people first designer. Now, this is the one spot that feels a little, I don't know what that means, but that's okay. Because it's so simple, I'm feeling pretty confident about going forward with it. And so, yeah, I think that it's okay to leave that. Usually I've been banging people up about their intro. No, don't take it back. Can I ask, do I know about Webflow? Yes, I do. I build Webflow sites, I build Wix sites, and WordPress sites. Yeah. All right. Nice. I like this little icon here, and it feels like it's going to be responsive. Very cool. Okay. It kind of breaks after a little bit, but that's my only concern, Dakota. But yeah, overall, I like these being able to go. I also love it when these are a button. So if you're gonna make this as an icon, would love to see that show up as a button that automatically scrolls me down, right? It's just one of those nice to have things. It's whatever. The size in design for main title is not like size in HTML web. Is that a problem? No, I think that's okay. You mean this specifically this one? Because yeah, I mean like so. Okay, here's my thing. I am coming in, reviewing this portfolio, considering whether I want to hire Dakota or not. I'm not saying, yo, did they like build their website properly, right? I'm not saying, oh, this is an H2 instead of an H3 or whatever, right? And so I'm not stressing too much about that. Now, if you're like a web developer or whatever, maybe, but test leads to a $1.2 million increase. That's really interesting. I like the vibe there. I've seen this before where you hover and it shows like a non-black and white version. I think get rid of that. If you want some motion, have it zoom in a little bit, right? Here's what my portfolio looks like for that reason. Um, it's just like a nice little like simple transition uh, here. So look, you see these guys? It's like slowly zooming in. It's like almost not even noticeable for a second, but you're like hanging on it, and it just keeps zooming in, keeps zooming in. It's more like I think that's enough motion to show that you like thought about it and you were intentional about it. That's what you're trying to accomplish here. But I think that it kind of like it cheapens the non-hover experience, which is not ideal, right? So yeah, having a hard time getting clean GIF and videos on my case studies. I use Vimeo, but Vimeo to be able to do like automatic autoplay for more than 2 videos, you have to pay for Vimeo. So that's the only thing. But it's definitely the best and most easy to use and most consistent. And then like also too like Vimeo is just really fast to load as well. So yeah. All right. But I love these intros though, right? Like failed A/B test leads to 1.2 million increase. I love that it's like very data focused. That's just so fucking cool. Sales jump 258 because people don't read. Man, like these are nice, Dakota. Like I love the copywriting you're doing here. I love that it's data focused. It's just yeah, it's very good, very good. It makes me want to read all of these honestly, which is really cool. So, do I code? Yes, I do. I taught myself React, and so I build a little bit, but I haven't developed in a while. Mostly just do design now, or not, and even then I don't even talk about design or don't even do much design. I mostly talk about design all day. So. You know what they say. Those who can't do teach, right? And here I am teaching. Or you can zoom on hover and follow the mouse so people can see closer. Yeah, I think that's great too. What I was trying to say is like you don't need to overdo these hover states, right? You don't really need any hover state to do with the image. Maybe just like highlighting this a little bit more, right? Like which actually didn't happen, right? Because it would be nice if this whole box was clickable instead of just this button. And so it would be nice if hovering here triggered that button or something, right? Like that could be even enough, right? So I think that's what I was trying to say there. And hey, Kayla, as a new designer, would it be worth it to start learning to code to land more interviews? I don't think so. It's one of those things that are like, it's nice to be a developer or no code, simply because it's kind of one of those things where once you think in that world, you're going to make developer friendly designs like kind of inherently because you're going to understand the limitations that they're dealing with. And so that's really the biggest value that you get from knowing how to code. It's not really like one of those things that are going to be like, wow, hell yeah, they can code too. Because if I'm a product team, there is a thing called creative technologists, but I mean, I don't even know like what those people do, to be honest with you, because those are really only built for like really large scale corporate teams. And are you even doing anything anyways? Because like corporate design, like, what are you even doing? You're just sitting around. I'm painting with a huge brush today. So let's keep going. Global success, 386% surge in user engagement, sales jump. Wow, very cool. Oh, you even made a game? Play WASD Snake. That's cool. Look at you. Yes, you see my intuition that saying hello world meant that you've coded before just shows. Look at this. And this is one of those things like you really don't need this, but I like it. It's one of those like, wow, okay, like, yeah, I don't know. It's nice. It's a nice one, Dakota. I like that a lot. Yeah. Web design, view gallery, graphic design, view gallery. That's cool. I like this. Solid portfolio so far. What do I find more interesting, front end or web design? I like front end probably more. For me, I like web design, and I'm getting my chops back on web design because I've been in product world for like 6 years, like pretty much solely not doing any web design, like every once in a while doing a site. But I'm trying to get back into that because client work in web design is a lot easier to manage than product work. But having said that, I am here to hire you as a product designer, Dakota, or maybe not, right? So like I'm just coming in from that lens. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at all of this stuff. I'm going to play with your WASD snake, love that, and then I'm going to say, okay, what's the most translatable product design kind of stuff, right? Now this feels like a web design project. This also feels like a web design project. Not a bad thing, right? Especially if you've got this kind of like data mined to it, that's great. But let me just jump into this one because this is the kind of stuff that I want to review in this portfolio. Okay, stupid question. Your TikTok account is literally about design. Oh yeah, no worries. You can ask any kind of question. There are no stupid questions in this world. And too late. Thank you so much for calling me a nice guy. Yeah, I just I want to give as much value as I can to you all because I know how hard it is to get into this industry, and also to like it's also I just want to give you the picture really quick of how hard it is for me as a person who's hiring to review 600 plus portfolios and not be able to give you feedback, right? I just don't have the bandwidth to be able to send out an individual email to everybody saying like this is what I think you did wrong or whatever. I want to though. I want to. So that's why this is like such a big part of my live shows here is I really want to share like what I see as a hiring manager, and hopefully you can get some good juice out of that. So okay. Hope to see you at Config. Hell yeah, yo, I'm going to Config. Yes, I am. I 100% am. Figma is actually flying me out. So that's pretty dope. So that feels, yeah, I feel like I'm making it. I feel like I'm an influencer now. So yeah, at least I don't have to go teach gym. That is a School of Rock joke. Hope you get it. Do you get it? Do you get it? Do you get it or no? Do you get it? Because I said earlier, for those who don't teach, or those who do teach, right? There, okay. I've explained my joke too much. It's not even funny anymore. I'm over it. Okay. The goal: empowering worldwide users to with accurate data. The challenge. This is great. This is great. Maybe bullet point these, right? Because I'm probably not going to read these. But just like, yeah, the way that it's laid out, boom, boom, it's just so like idiot proof. You know what I mean? Portfolio review. You'll get in the queue. There we go, David. Teach Jim. Yes. Yes. All right. The process. Global aspirations in a lean environment. Despite resource constraints, our lean team, comprising myself, two developers, and a project manager, collaborated closely to streamline the research design. Okay. Cool. All right. So this is... Okay. All right. Here's what I'm feeling. I think like the data is great. The process is great. Being able to see the goal, the challenge, all of that's great, right? I think that you don't need to go super more detail in the weeds on any of this stuff. I like this shot. I think this is one of those like bingo card things in a good way where it's like, yep, okay, oh, yep, they got that shot. Bingo, you know what I mean? And so that's fine. I think it's cool. It also shows me that you can prototype, which, maybe I'm going to have you prototype, maybe not. On my last product team that I was on, definitely prototyping was a thing. And the person that I hired wasn't that good at prototyping when I brought him on. And it was one of those like, man, like I wish he was a little bit better so that he can run on it quicker. But we just kind of changed the process a little bit, adjusted it, which isn't a big deal. But nice to see that. Again, like you're pretty solid at the copywriting and keeping it moving in a good way. So I would say, how can you do more of these, right? More of these sections, less of these paragraphs, right? And then give me more. And then in the meantime, it allows more room to give more visualizations, right? Because this is like, overall, the UI that you shared is not enough for me to be able to make a decision on you, right? Seeing these like isometric shots are okay, but I think it's actually like a detriment to the the UI. Now again, I'm going to go back to my portfolio really quick. I've got isometric shots, right? So I'm not talking shit about isometric shots in general. Yo, I just hit 10K likes on the live. Hell yeah. Appreciate you all. Hell yeah. That's awesome. That's so cool. Thank you so much, everybody, for being here with me. Much love to all of you. So yeah, again, and even on the inside, I did isometric shots, right? But what I did was I made sure that you could visually see everything very crystal clear, right? This was like a video that I did that like walked through every detail of the product, all of this stuff I designed, and I even made this video, right? So all this stuff was like, demos the NUI a lot, right? And then, again, made this whole icon set library that I did, made this GIF out of it. And then this was like a portfolio or an actual prototype that I made. Now, this was kind of like a meh case study. I kind of like phoned this one in because I was like throwing it together really quick. Let me go more in depth over, probably the Strandverse has some good stuff. Yeah. See, look, gives very, very clear shots of the different modules that I designed, different pieces that I designed. Even when I went isometric, I made sure that it didn't pull away from the design itself. You could see it and feel it and understand. Okay, knowing all that, and keeping all that in mind, I feel like I'm not getting that juice out of these, right? I think that yeah, exactly. If those paragraphs are important, you can make bullets, yes. But this is what I mean by isometric, right? It's kind of like sideways, right? Like mock-up-y, right? Right? And again, it's not a bad thing to have those. I just need to see the juice, right? Like you've got one shot here, Dakota, where like straight up, right? And even then it's kind of zoomed out because the image itself is filled with all this other stuff on the sides, right? So it's automatically making the actual UI, like instead of it being like this, it's like this, which isn't ideal, right? I could see, great, okay, cool, very zoom out version. I could see these prototype, cool. But and again, you can use those shots, but they should be like 20% of the overall shots. Yo, too late sending me some 3 roses. Warren Dangwarowith. Sorry, I messed up your name. Thank you so much for the rose. And now send some hearts. Yeah, all right. We running today. Yo, appreciate all of you guys for being with me. Today is a vibey day. Okay, cool. So yeah, and then like, okay, then even further, if I'm trying to skim through this really quick, I see isometric, zoomed out, isometric, and then just like a thing that feels very disconnected from the rest of this, right? Like there's no data visualization on any of this stuff, and then all of a sudden there is right here. What is that? How does that connect, right? What I think is the best case study is you could, as a browser, scroll through, look at only the images, and get a rough outline of the story that you just were telling, right? And when I'm saying rough outline, I'm meaning like very zoomed out the beats of the steps that you took in your process, right? And again, like going back to my stuff, let's just not even read any content and scroll through this, right? Cool, this looks nice as a UI. Cool, some UI. Okay. Oh, okay, this feels like some stuff from TikTok. There's some shots from TikTok. Okay, interesting. Okay, bullet. Got it. I'll read these bullets, right? And then confetti with some modules. Okay. On like, damn, I probably could have done a better job at this myself. But you can at least get a gist of like the steps that took place, right? And I'm not getting that here because it feels like, okay, I get it. Okay, they prototyped something. Okay, these are like, maybe they modularized it or made a design system out of this. Wait, what is this? You know what I mean? And so, yeah, I think like definitely get some more zoom in ability stuff on this. I think too, another big one is just like in general, showing more of the flows, right? You've got this flow here. It looks like there's like, at least 3 or 4 user flows. Show me the zoom in of each of those. You know what I mean? I think that's what I'd love to see here. Now, I said all of that. Now let's rewind and say, if I'm a client, right, I think that this is enough. I don't think you need to go more in depth with any of the content that you're putting out here, because clients don't need to see the UX process and all that shit. They just need to see like that you can do punchy shit, right, and that you can move the needle, which you showed that for sure. The UI itself is okay. Looking at it, wonky. Oh, sick. There you go. Okay. Can you all see peanut gallery? Yes. Okay. Cool. 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 So yeah, this spacing feels very tight right here. I think that this needs a lot more room to breathe. This visualization right here. You know, I think that there's a lot going on in this card. Maybe drop this Royal Crown Diamond or remove the remove the current rank, right? And then also estimate earnings as another bank. That's a tough label for a button. That's a lot of work. Anyways, there's some okay UI going on here. Some of this looks pretty good over here too. Then you skewed it here. Okay, it's a repeat from over there. Got it. Okay. Yeah, so I can kind of get a zoom in from there. That's all right. The UI is pretty good. It's pretty good. So you don't have anything to hide. So zoom it in more, right? Give me some more juice there. And I think that would also get you more client work too, because you can be this zoomed out in client work. You don't need to go super in the weeds on like proto personas and all that shit, because nobody's got the budget for that, right? And also too, here's the other thing too on client work is nobody wants to sit down for more than an hour with you, right? They want to have maybe a kickoff call and then check in every once in a while on like a Loom video or something, right? Nobody wants to book time on their calendar for this project, right? In the client world, right? Unless they are much more intentional and you're kind of coming on as like a retainer or something like that. But that's also tough to find. So, yeah, really long-winded way to say, I think that the content in here is okay, right? Find a way to break each of these into like 3 or 4 steps, and then find a way to bring the threads together with the visualizations. Very good. Yeah. Are there certain types of case studies that would increase new designers' chance of getting a job, like IA restructure, social good, growth, etc.? That's a really good question. That's a really good question, Kayla. So, I think that the real thing, let me explain what I look for when I'm trying to hire somebody, right? I think we can dump it off really quick. Let me just check over on the other stuff. Yeah, seems like similar feedback, right? One last thing is I do love this. I like the little bit about you at the end with a nice call to action. I feel like that's really great. So that's the last thing I'll say on this. Yeah, what card isn't aligned, Ted? I kind of moved my layout around. Oh my gosh, it isn't. Oh, you're so right. Is that better? Yeah, that looks better. I'm gonna zoom it down a little bit too. Okay. I changed out my overlay this morning, so that's why I got thrown off. Okay, so flipping over to Kayla's question. Hold on, I'm gonna switch it over. We're chilling now. Okay, chilling AMA. Okay, so yeah, Kayla's question over on TikTok. Are there certain types of case studies that are going to give you a better chance of getting a job? So let me explain to you what I look at as a hiring manager when I'm coming in reviewing portfolios. There's a very specific process that I took, right? So the big one is I'm coming in knowing the type of work I'm going to give you, right? So for me on my recent hire that I did when I was at a product team, I knew that there was going to be a lot of admin panel work, right? And so because of that, I was looking for stuff that showed that you as a designer had thought about the structuring of admin panels, right? Now, admin panel is not sexy at all, right? And so when I see it at the top of the list of like a table or something, even if it's a table, tables suck, right? Tables are ugly. There's some ways to make tables look pretty, but you really got to grind to get it looking nice. And so, but if you're confident enough to throw up a table on the top, it shows that you want to say, hey, look, I've thought about the difficulty of data entry, right? Which is 90% of most work that we're doing, right? You're doing the back office admin shit for customers. That's what's getting them innovated, or not innovated. Fucking damn, I can't think of the word. Iterated on. That's what's getting iterated on. Is the stuff that the admins are seeing, right? It's not the stuff that the admins customers are seeing, right? when they're using the product. And so, obviously, like there's always like that evergreen side of the end result or end user's experience is going to be getting optimized, right? But ultimately, a lot of the work that we do in startups in SaaS is around data entry and admin panel management and all that stuff. And so, when I'm looking for that, I'm looking for that when I'm going and browsing, right? And that doesn't necessarily mean that you need like my specific industry, right? But having an industry that has a data entry kind of component to it is a really nice to have, right? A big one that I loved to see was when people did like doctor's office onboarding stuff, right? Not doctor's office stuff, but like a productized doctor or something like that, or like, online, therapist kind of thing, right? Because you have to do some data entry. There's some sensitive information that needs to be inputted, and because of that, there also needs to be validated fields, and there's so much that goes into all that stuff that you really got to think about and stress about as a designer. And so that's what I'm looking for when I'm looking at portfolios, when I'm actually like going to hire, right? And so what I think the best thing would be is to not stress about the tactics that you use on your case studies, but rather focus on industry hitting, right? So knowing that you might be applying to e-commerce jobs, make some e-commerce app, right? Or if you're trying to go for SaaS companies, make some admin panel stuff, right? And I think that ultimately on all of those things, you could talk on any of the tactics that you used, right? And if you've worked with a client or on a team for a very long time, there's so much projects that you've done that it's hard to put it into one case study. And so I've never seen it done, but I think it can be done where you could get a job off of like 2 or 3 case studies on the same company, but just different projects. Seeing how you tackle the problem, right? Ultimately, though, that's the thing is when you're looking at a big project, try to not do the entire project from start to finish because you're going to naturally be very zoomed out, right? But talk about specific challenges that happened on this one project that you worked on that kind of shines a light on your process. That's what I'm trying to find is, have they thought about the challenges that I'm going to give them, and then do they have a process for handling adversity, right? Because there is going to be adversity that comes, and so ultimately, I think the best case study that's imaginable out there is you show the problem, you show the challenges that happen along the way, you show the steps that you took to tackle the problem, and then you showed a second problem that came up after you launched that thing, right? So I launched this website and it had it was doing great in these areas, but it didn't do great here. So what I did was blah 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 blah. It's like a second case study within a case study, right? But it shows that you didn't just like launch it and forget it. It shows that you can think about challenges on an ongoing basis and optimize over time. Because that's all that we're doing as designers too. So I think that's really what you need to worry about. It's not the tactics that you're doing in your case studies, because generally all the tactics are the same and all of them start to feel and blend together into one. At the end of the day. So really, what I want to see is, are you processed, can you handle that adversity? And then have you thought about the problems that I thought about? So there you go. There's the three. Maybe you can show the portfolios of the 2 designers you hired. Oh, that's a really good idea, Horvath. Let me pull that up. Let me go try finding it. Is this it? Yeah. Okay. Cool. That's one. Sorry, I'm pulling up portfolios of another of my teams. You know what I mean? All right. Hold on. Okay. No, do you get a chance to see the better? No, I did not, David. Sorry, I was traveling last week, so I wasn't able to jump in on that yet. But I'm gonna be doing some DM reviews here after I hop off this live. Okay. agree with you. The person with the hands down emoji. Yeah, I didn't like the background either on that too much, but I wouldn't let it deter me. You know what I mean? This background photo being constant is a little bit of annoyance. Having this like interfere with the content. That was what you were talking about there. Am I a senior product designer? Yeah. So what I did on my last job was I applied for a senior designer role. I got it, and then I ended up growing into a lead product designer role. And then, it was a small startup, but they were trying to like set up for scale, and so they actually brought me into like a VP of design role. That was kind of where I was like over it at that point because like I was just struggling with the amount of work that they were giving me without rise in pay and all that stuff. And so they were kind of like doing this like in name only thing where they were calling me a VP and just throwing a bunch of more responsibilities on me. But so that's when I left. But yeah, but ultimately I was lead designer. I was VP of design for like a month, but I was I was kind of on my way out by that point. So yeah. Yeah, the reason why I became a lead designer was I started hiring and managing designers under me. Now I still was an IC or individual contributor, but yeah, I was doing mostly like management, and then I would like do some cleanup stuff. So yeah, so this was who I hired at my last job. Yo, Pompe, thank you so much for the heart. Appreciate you over there. Yeah. So this was Peter Yen. Now Peter, like what I loved about Peter was he is like a senior level communication, which is kind of funny because like I literally just had this question earlier of like what's a senior versus a junior level designer, and the funny thing is like he is so good at that communication stuff and the collaboration stuff and slowing things down. Like there's a art to being confident enough to say, yo, like I don't have enough information, like, and slowing things down. That's really where you become a senior designer, is when you get really good at that and then getting buy-in like outside of that. Now he definitely still had some work to do around those edges of like pulling all of the context together and spitting it out into like those design decisions. And so that's still another senior thing. But he was definitely a very close to senior. Like he'll probably be a senior soon if he keeps hustling and going. But yeah, I create desirable and intuitive solutions for people. Like I think that's a solid entry line. Yeah, currently creating amazing end experiences at Hover. So that's dope. Yeah, that was that was my old team. Okay, impressed, discover more of my past experiences. So, he had these nice shots. Like it showed the end design in a very zoomed in way, which is great. Even on this isometric shot, you can still see it, and already you can get a vibe for the like the UI chops that he has, which is definitely a big important thing, especially specifically for me. So now I did see these coming soons, and I kind of was like, I don't know. Like I don't think coming soon should be visible, especially when you've got 3 case studies already. I don't think he needed these. I actually don't even remember seeing these. What happens when you press a few more? Okay, at least it wasn't working. But yeah. But what I did was I went and looked at Breakthrough because I thought that was the most like UI visual that he had. He had this like NFT project, which him and I went into a bit in his interview. And overall, like the design looked okay, but it was like definitely like a different type of persona that I wasn't really after. But this one did look like it kind of had some dashboarding, some management stuff, and so this was the one that I really looked into. And so yeah, having like it's just one of those things where like having the confidence to be able to just put a big ass paragraph like this with nothing else, it kind of like it just it shows some thought and intention around like white space and visual design and all that. And so that just like kind of calling that out really quick, see what works. One of the things that I think this is cool to be able to see like the different user flows laid out like this. It shows that he took a flow all the way to the end, which is really nice. Now I would love to see some zoom ins of those, and so that's kind of what I did. I think when I looked was I scrolled all the way down here, and yeah, like oh, redesign is so nice, right? Being able to have a redesign showing the before and after just shows that you like that's what we're doing as product designers. When you come on a product design team, you're constantly iterating and optimizing. You're not really making new stuff that often, and so because of that, like love to see the old versus the new. Definitely feels a lot more intentional than on the design. I do think that this shot right here could have been translated down to here. And it looks like it was dropped, but maybe it was kind of not needed, I guess, maybe. I don't know. Just talking out loud as I go. This is a cool isometric shot, and it shows like the modules and all that. Again, comparing it to the old, that's a really nice one too. So yeah, secret wallet, yeah. So overall, it just feels more like a story. And going back to like that idea that I was saying of like you scroll through and only look at the visuals. Let's see, boom, okay, nice punchy shot. Okay, all the user flows. He did some thinking. Oh, nice. He compares old to new. Cool. Okay, he took his screen by screen on details. Looks like the whole thing got a facelift. Great. So that's what I probably did when I was scrolling through, and then seeing that with like it's just awesome. It's great. It's great. Now coming back up here, seeing this lead designer. Now I know what he did in this project because him and I chatted about it, and he was the only designer, and I don't think you can really call yourself lead designer. And I used to call myself lead designer on projects that I did, was the only designer on. But I would I don't know. I think lead designer is okay, but lead kind of comes with some idea of you were managing people, especially in the product design world. In the client work world, I think lead designer is okay, this was a client project of his kind of thing. So. Yeah, and again, I don't think 3 months is needed. I always say that. I really don't think it's needed. So, yeah. So that was his project, and then it was kind of funny because we got on the call on an interview, him and I talked earlier about like doing like a pitch deck of yourself. And he did this as his demo, and I honestly like it was a big negative for me. It was a big negative for me when he came on and did a case study about this, because like I was like, look, dude, this is a website, and the work that I'm gonna have you do is like product stuff, right? And so that's why if you're doing those big case studies like that, make sure that it's relevant to the type of work that you're applying for, because it was a big knock for him, where I was like, man, I would have loved to see the details on this breakthrough app, right? And I ended up just like stopping it or at the end and was like, hey, can you walk through breakthrough too? But it would have been nice if like it just like a little bit better of an experience. Now there was some points where I was able to like take the stuff that he did design and say, okay, here's a challenge that we're having for our end visitors or our end users, like our customers, right? What would you do in this case, right? And so I was able to kind of translate that, but for the most part, that was because we were a web tool. So like there was actually like some connection that I could have done, but if it wasn't, he probably would have fallen flat in a product design interview with that. But yeah, so that was him. That was Peter. And honestly, like yeah, Peter is a really great designer. I think he's got big things ahead of him, and all because he's so good at the communication. He's so good at the communication. Now, during that hover process when I was hiring, this was actually a person that I almost hired over Peter. And at the time, Andre only had 2 portfolio pieces. It was this one, and I forget which one. Maybe it was just these 2, right? But like I just thought like the content that he said, product designer and digital innovator with a background in industrial design and masters in UX design. I think like this little quick little like, hey, I'm in Brooklyn and I'm Filipino, like nice, like it's like just enough to be like, okay, cool, but not like too much in the weeds, right? And so that was a good one. And then like, and the funny thing is this was actually a fake project that he did like for a school. But it was still like almost enough to make me want to hire him over Peter. And like, and yeah, like because the design is really good, the intention and the thought is really good as well. And like, just look at this, like just scrolling through, like he gives that proto persona research with so much better visuals. Like this is a case study, product design case study that hasn't shown that on the research part doesn't show me fucking sticky notes, right? Doesn't show me wireframe like or the thing that Peter did, like this kind of stuff, right? Like, which isn't a knock, right? It just was another thing that was like unique about Andre that was like nice. And then like just the quick little insights of like three, boom, 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 super cool. Like I got what he was trying to do, just scrolling, boom, boom, okay, got it. You know what I mean? And then this was just a nice thing too. Like it makes it where it's like a story, like you have time to breathe, and then everything changed, right? Like it's a nice one. It's a nice one. And then yeah, like seeing the competitive analysis, oh, that is a big one. Going back to the stuff that we ranked earlier, I said how important I talked about how important market research was, right? And there's Andre, you know, uh, having a whole section on competitive analysis where everybody else is showing proto personas. He was showing competitive analysis and pain points that the personas out that use those products still have, right? Like so, man, like that is awesome, right? That's a nice one. That's a nice one. Journey map is cool. See, so like he did all the UX stuff, but he kept it tight on this, right? Like Alex, he still named these three people. I don't think that was even necessary. But at least he kept it small, where it was just these small sections, right? So, yeah, and then went through all the deets, and then this was another one too. Is like seeing wireframes in a mid-fi is awesome, right? Low-fi wireframes, I don't really like it. I don't really like it because I get it if that's part of your process, but I'm like, that's not the juice of the stuff that you designed, right? Like that's just showing that you took a step forward, right? This gave me some juice where it was like even in black and white, this has some good information architecture and some good strategy behind the UI, right? Like all that's really valuable, right? And then yeah, and then starts to get some really good UI compared to that yeah, just like all the strategy behind it. So just like, and then gave section after section of NDUI, which is very needed. It shows that it wasn't just like a couple shots, it was like a full project that he took to the finish line. So, yeah. So Andre's had some really good case studies. So, what I'll do is tomorrow. This is who I hired recently, Nicole, and she's awesome as well. Really, really awesome, and very good at a lot of the communication stuff too, similar to Peter. And our design chops are very, very good as well. And a lot of it became because she used to be a graphic designer, and so I think she could have even done a better job at translating that from one to the next. But anyways, I'm gonna go more detail into her tomorrow because I've been streaming for a little bit too long already. So yeah, thank you all for hanging with me. This was an awesome live. I feel like we were pumping. We were pumping today. Got 11,000 likes on TikTok. That's amazing. The dream right there. That's the dream. Sorry YouTube for missing a few of your questions there about complex product problems. Oh, that's such a good line question. Turth, if you can come back tomorrow, I'll answer that for sure. Okay. Yeah. All right, y'all. Well, hey, great live today. Hope you all have an awesome day. I had so much fun today. So I think we're going to be doing much more stuff. Would love also some insights on like the type of segments you'd like to see on these things. Like I feel like sometimes I get too educational and I want to just like kind of vibe and hang. So yeah, like let's all build this together and figure out what we're gonna do together. And yeah, much love all you. Appreciate you and have an awesome rest of your day.